after Newcastle United lost the Carabao Cup final to Manchester United back in February, the director, Amanda Staveley, told me in no uncertain terms what Newcastle are out to achieve.
Do you know, I was so proud of all of the fans, everybody, and I was crying, and my son was crying, we're all crying. But what was amazing, at 2-0 down, we were flags going, we will win the Carabao Cup, we will win the FA Cup, we will win the Champions League, and we will win the Premier League. But we really, this is all about, you know, the amazing fans that have taken us on this journey. And we're just honoured and humbled and feel very privileged to help run Newcastle United.
And that was Amanda.
Yep.
And if they are to do that, the question we were asking this morning is Eddie Howe the man to get them there? Look at where he's got himself.
I hope he is.
He took Bournemouth from minus 12 points in League Two, 3 promotions, to 5 years in the Premier League.
Yep.
Think about that, Simon.
It's a remarkable achievement.
He's
a very, very decent manager. But we aren't talking about decent, we're talking about elite. I hope that he gets to have the benefits of all the endeavour that he puts in and the building blocks that he would have been involved in laying for Newcastle to launch their assault that Amanda Staveley has just told us 5-6 months ago, was going to be an inevitability of the Newcastle revolution. My concern in this instance, insofar as I have any concern about Newcastle and Eddie Howe's future, is that the inevitable conversation will come up. It'll come up. I might have preempted it. I'm pretty damn sure I haven't, because before we came into the studio, someone was talking outside about, can Newcastle win the Champions League? And so with that in mind, that question has to abound, doesn't it?
That's good you didn't give away who it was, but as we are live on YouTube and Facebook, you pointed at me there.
Indeed.
I think they can win it. I think Amanda's right. I think they can win it. Look at the Champions League group they top this morning.
The
and
group
who's
of
in
death.
it? Milan, Dortmund and PSG.
Fine. They have done.
You were right about PSG. Nothing. No heart.
No, they had nothing yesterday. I don't want to veer into the territory of how bad PSG were, but they were poor. They lacked all the fundamental requirements of a side going into a absolute cauldron of emotion.
Yeah.
And they had players in that side that really weren't at the level that you'd expect from an elite team coming in with all the reputation that PSG comes with.
Yeah.
That does not mean that in part, that was not because Newcastle made them that way, but my word, did they contribute to their own demise by their lack of energy and determination and seemingly, with all due respect, the right amount of engagement, because Newcastle were going to bring it. They were going to bring it. You know, they had their little audition. They had their little debut in Milan to get their little feet wet and understand what the Champions League is.
They were
always going to bring it, weren't they?
Who's going to win the Champions League first? Saudi-owned Newcastle United, Qatari-owned PSG. Who will win the Champions League first?
Oh, I don't know. That's like saying which disease you want least. I don't know.
I'm going to go Newcastle.
You're going to go Newcastle?
Yeah.
Well, I think you might be right. I mean, I think you may be right, because PSG have had an inordinate amount of time under a very significant ownership that's been incredibly invested, and yet they don't get there. They've had all these wonderful managers that I allude to, talk about, like Tuchel, and they didn't do it.
Do you think we'll see a changing of the guard? Mega-rich, Qatari-owned PSG.
Well, we have, haven't we? We've seen it. The changing of the guard was Man City.
Mega-rich, Saudi-owned Newcastle. Will we see... I'm talking about the Qatar-Saudi dynamic.
But what guard are we talking about? The ability to win the French league?
Two mega rich clubs.
But if we're changing the guard, we're talking about a guard being something that's achieved meaningful things. What have PSG achieved besides winning the French league? I'm sorry, I'm very fond of Nasser, but you've got to call it for what it is. They've got to European Champions League finals, but with all this investment, all this embarrassment of riches, this ridiculous level of player that they've signed, and the consequences of the finances that must have gone into that, they haven't won the... So it's not a changing of the guard. The changing of the guard was Roman Abramovich changed it when he walked through the door and changed the landscape of Chelsea. They were peacocks before that, right? Now you've got Manchester City that have changed. So this evolution.
What a beautiful way Newcastle are doing it. Look at what PSG and how they went about it. In comes Sergio Ramos. In comes Neymar. In comes Messi. Look at the way Newcastle are doing it. On the score sheet last night, Almiron, Longstaff, Byrne,
Yeah.
Geordie boys.
And that will
Well,
get
not
you,
armoured on, but you know what I mean.
and fabulous and well done. But
Yeah.
everybody knows, even the most ardent of Newcastle fans will know that's going to get you to a certain position.
Yeah.
And these guys that deserve every single moment of the reflected glory of their own achievements are going to be sacrificed in the pursuit of the ultimate baubles. Because you don't get to beat Pep Guardiola by having people that give you their very best and are committed and love their football club. You get to get people in there that have those attributes but are the best at what they do.
Okay.
That's how you win the league.
Before we go at 1 o'clock, I hope I get a reply to this. I've been a bit cheeky with our friend Nasser Al-Khelafi.
Oh, right, okay.
The chairman of PSG. Morning, Nasser. What about that last night? What did you think of the atmosphere at St James's Park?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it? We'll see if we get an answer to that. Coming up to 11:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.